How's it going, everyone? Welcome to the WIFFY Real podcast, man. We've reached episode 11, and I'm excited, man. To all of you guys who've been watching for the last 10 episodes, I just want to say thank you, and thank you for the support. Today, I'm super excited because not only is our guest a special guest, but he's a dear friend of mine who holds a special place in my heart, and I'm excited for him to share his story with you guys. And then also maybe we can get into how we met a little bit and stuff like that and our relationship. But without further ado, as you guys already know, I like to give my guest an AI introduction. So today's AI introduction for my special guest says, today's guest is a culinary powerhouse who's bringing bold, authentic Mexican flavor across state lines. He's the founder of Oscar's Fresh Mex and Rosie's Tacos, two names that have become go-to spots for seriously delicious eats. From humble beginnings to multi-location success, he's spicing up the game one plate at a time. Please welcome the man behind the magic. Ladies and gentlemen, Oscar Ruiz. Oscar, thank you for being here, man.
Thank you for having us.
Dude, how do you feel, man?
Good. Excited. Wanted to be here. I've just been so busy that haven't been able to put that little time in, but I'm excited. I'm here, and I'm looking forward to it.
Dude, you don't lie when you say that you've been busy, dude. From the first day that I met you, dude, or I wouldn't say the first day, but when we started, hanging out and stuff, there's not a time when your phone is not ringing, man. True evidence to a true entrepreneur, dude.
Yeah.
I actually met somebody this morning who's also a business owner, and he owns a pretty big business. And same thing, man. We were sitting there and we were talking, and his phone wouldn't stop ringing. I'm like, dude, I have a friend like you, man. But that is a sign of success, man. You gotta hustle,
It's part of life. It's a good hustle.
Yeah.
You deal with it, but you feel the pressure, but it's all good. I like that hustle.
Awesome, man. Yeah, you do. And I want to touch a little bit on that, man, because that's pretty inspiring the way you do things, man. Dude, so we always start the podcast with asking people to share their story, where they come from, where they are, and where they are going. So just go ahead and start by telling us a little bit of like where you grew up and stuff, man.
All right. Well, my hometown is San Diego. That's where I grew up until about 18. I was in San Diego, my hometown. That's where I learned everything that I know from my father. He started back in 76 in San Diego. So I pretty much grew up with him in the restaurant. And he would teach me a little bit here, a little bit there. And I would tie on to him more, and I would want to know more. So little by little, weekends, I was just, right after him. And before I knew it, I was closing with him. I was opening, and I was just gaining all this entrance towards the restaurant. So I grew up in San Diego up until about 18, and then moved to Phoenix for maybe 4 years or so. And then decided I wanted a bigger opportunity. So that's when I took my life over to Tennessee. And then Tennessee,
that's where the true story begins.
Yeah.
Dude,
that's where it all started.
Dude, so let's go back to San Diego real quick. So what city did you grow up in San Diego?
Right outside of Chula Vista in National City, Paradise Hills.
Right on, dude.
Yeah.
And your dad's restaurant, where was it?
El Cajon City.
El Cajon City, dude.
Yes, I remember riding with him a few times, and you could see the jailhouse from the inside of the dining room. And I remember 2 or 3 times where inmates were trying to escape with.
No way, dude.
Yes, you could see it from the restaurant. It was like, wow.
Dang, that's crazy, dude. I'm familiar with El Cajon because where I went to school, I would have to pass through El Cajon. I went to school in Santee.
Oh,
So,
okay.
Yeah, El Cajon, and then the 60-something, I forget what it was, but
I think it's 64.
Yeah, 64 or something like that, dude.
I can't recall.
But cool, man. And so you were born and raised there.
Born and raised in San Diego.
Dang, dude.
Yeah.
How old were you when you left San Diego?
Close, 17 or 18.
17
right
or
around
18.
there.
Dude,
Right.
awesome, man. Dude, before we get to the juicy part, dude, because obviously we've had other conversations in the past, dude. So you shared with me that you guys used to travel to Mexico a lot, visit
Oh,
family and stuff, dude. Do you want to share a little bit of those stories, dude, or no?
Oh, which one?
The ones that won't get you in trouble, baby. Dude,
No.
so a little birdie tells us, man, that you were a ladies' man, dude.
Not so much a lady, man. I had fun just like everybody else.
The way you say it, dude.
But not a ladies man, but I had fun.
Dude, would you be open?
Good
to,
fun.
Would
Good
you be
fun.
open to sharing the pencil story or no?
Oh boy.
You don't have to. You don't have to. Let's just say that back in those days, there was different types of currency.
Different times, yes.
Moving on.
Yeah.
Next question. Right on, dude. So you guys went back and forth and stuff like that because you guys had family?
Yeah, so my parents' hometown, both of them, is in Michoacan, Mexico, city of Cotija, kind of like the Cotija cheese. That's where it originated, and that's where they're from. So summer times, my dad would take us to Mexico, Cotija, and we'd stay there for a couple of months or so. So we'd live that life for 2 months, and then we'd come back. Every year, it was pretty much the same thing.
Right on, dude.
A lot of fun.
So I won't make you share the story, dude, but just for kicks, how many chicas you think you dated, man, till you met the one?
The one and only.
The one and only.
I don't know. Maybe.
You're like, we had fun, dude.
Yeah. It was lots of fun.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
then living close to Tijuana, I mean, it's you live in San Diego and you grow up going into TJ. It's like you grow up quicker than you should. Why? Because back in the days, you'd go to TJ, and to get into clubs, you'd get in at a younger age. So you live your life a little quicker. So by the time you're 18, 19, you've already done what you were supposed to live at 20, 21. So,
Dude.
I mean, I don't
That's
regret
crazy.
it.
Yeah.
I don't regret it
Yeah,
at
you
all.
had fun, dog,
Yeah, it was fun.
Awesome, man.
Would I want my kids to, grow up that way? Maybe not.
You're like, and that's all I'll say
Yeah.
about that, dude. It's funny, dude. No, you know what? I can kind of understand where you're coming from because I grew up in a border town too. San Diego isn't really seen as a border town, but it is. Because Mexico, Tijuana's right there. But I grew up in Calexico, man, in Mexicali. Same thing, dude. Clubbing age was younger, drinking age was younger, everything was younger, man.
Yeah. Tijuana's nice.
Yeah, for sure. The weather.
San Diego as well.
Yeah.
Tijuana has good Chinese food. Hong
Yes.
Kong.
Yes. Mexicali does too, man.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Mexico has Hong Kong too.
Yeah, dude.
Oh, boy.
I think they're known for their Chinese food, dude.
Ooh.
Like it's like the capital or something. Like don't quote me on that one, but I mean, yeah, dude. Right on, dude. So you were born in San Diego. You were raised in San Diego. Your dad was a restaurant. He founded the restaurant, correct?
My dad's brother was the one that opened his first restaurant and then helped my dad out. And this was back in '76. He opened a restaurant. He helped my dad out. I think they were partners. And then after 2-3 years, that's when my uncle sold his share to my dad.
I see.
And that was in '82 when he purchased my uncle's share. So from '82, that's where he started on his own. And then that's where we learned the business as well.
Right on, dude. So would you say that at first, like your dad had all the family working in the restaurant, or was it just a few of you guys, or what would you say?
It was just a few of my older brothers, 3 at that time.
And yourself.
And myself. Well, I wasn't really working. I was just learning. He would take me with him to close up in the evenings. Sometimes on the weekends, I'd roll with him, and he would start teaching me one thing or another thing, and that's where it started catching my eye.
And how would you say was your relationship with your dad, dude, during that time? And
With both my dad and my mom, they come from the generation where their parents were very cold with them. And of course, the way they grew up, there was not much there. So they had to work day and night. They couldn't even go to school because it was so bad. So they had to help out in the family. But with my dad and my mom, they were not so cold. You could tell there was that love, but they were scared, or they didn't know how to express it. So you could feel it. They just couldn't express it, verbally or emotionally. But you knew it was there, and you could feel it, because just out of the nowhere, my mom, she'd cook something that she knew that you liked, and you'd be the first one that she would call. Hey, I cooked this, or I did this. So, and that went across the board with everybody, but you could tell. But it was just, it wasn't. They just, I think they didn't know how to express their feelings because they didn't grow up that way.
Right.
So
right, dude.
But my dad, he had a way of telling you things. He would always tell you, like, just an example. He'd give you good tips. And one time I didn't realize what he was telling me many times until afterwards, maybe years later. One time he said, you have to remember that you can't let the water faucet, you can't open it full blast. You always have to let that water faucet drip. If you keep it dripping all the time, you'll have water all the time. If you open it full blast, you're going to run out of water eventually. So what he was trying to tell me is, open that faucet, let it drip. Go to the other room, open that faucet, let it drip. So he was telling me, whatever it is you do, don't try to go out there and open all the faucets full blast. Open one, let it drip. Go over here, open that one, let it drip. So eventually, those pennies are going to add up. And it's going to make your life easier. So it was little things like that he would explain them to me in a different way that I could not catch on in that moment, but they stuck to me. They stuck to me, and as I was growing up, I would remember when I came across situations what he would tell me, and I was like, then it would click.
Yeah, it's funny you say that, dude, because looking at how you have built your business, I can totally see how, that analogy has influenced, the way you've gone about doing business, dude. Right on, dude. I think one of the cool things about your story is that, usually when you hear stories of like kids working with their parents, they're like, I hated it. And then they never wanted anything to do with it. But in your case, not only did your dad kind of show you the ropes, you eventually go on to fully helping your dad in the shop. And then,
well, to be honest, at the beginning, he did drag me out many times, because I didn't want to go. I wanted to stay around and, play with my friends or do whatever at home or be out in the streets and just, having fun. But after a while, it grew on me. I ended up enjoying it, and I ended up, getting interest for it. So I wanted to learn more.
Dude, so at this point, you move to, or we get to the point where you're moving to Phoenix. So why the move to Phoenix, man?
So my father, my uncle helped out my father. Unfortunately, my dad had his place for years, maybe 15 years or so. He didn't have the support that he needed to keep his business going. So he came across a couple of situations that kind of hurt him a little bit. So he came to the point where he said, you know what? I'm going to retire. I'm going to I'm going to pay off my home and just relax and not have to worry about all this restaurant and this and that. He just wanted to relax. He had so much of it that he was exhausted. So he had some money left over that he kind of spread between the majority of the older ones. And he said, this is what I got. You guys use it to your advantage and, try to make it. So we ended up coming to Phoenix in search of an opportunity because obviously California is expensive now, is expensive then. So we came to Phoenix and we had a couple of shops for whatever it was. It didn't work out. One of my other brothers had a another shop. It didn't work out for him. He had a good shop. He ended up selling it and then going elsewhere. But it didn't work out for us. I was working for somebody else, and he ended up owing me like $15,000 of work. And I was just so hungry for that opportunity, and I wanted to have my own place. So, I thought, well, I'm gonna head out to Tennessee, and the opportunity came about. So I thought, what do I have to lose?
So at this time, at this point, when you moved to Phoenix, what year was that, more or less?
Oh, that was probably around 99 or 2000 or so.
And did you guys move out here just because, or like, would you hear from people like, oh, there's opportunity out there, man? Like it's growing.
Oh, we would hear it.
You would hear it?
Yeah, being in San Diego and everything as expensive as it is and was, you could hear where people would come out here and open restaurants, taco shops, and they would do great. So we came out, we visited, and we saw there was not much competition.
Mm.
So that's when we decided to make the move. But when we moved to Phoenix, I think we lived in the car for maybe a week or so.
No way, dude.
Maybe a little bit more. Every other day we would rent one of those beater hotels just so that we can shower.
No.
Yeah, it was something else.
That's crazy,
And,
dude.
yeah, it was.
So basically, you and your like older brothers, or the brothers that were involved with the restaurant in San Diego, you guys came out here.
Yes, a couple.
Just with like a hope and a dream, dude.
Yes.
Gosh, dude.
Lots of hope.
Were you married at that time or
No, single.
You were
I'm
single?
still single.
Dang, dude. So was it in Phoenix where you meet your wife and get married, or was it during that time, or until?
Well, I was living in Phoenix, but we had already met. I met her when we were 17. So periodically I'd go back and forth to Cotija in Michoacan. So periodically I'd go back and forth, and I'd give her hopes, just like the hopes that I had of making it big one day, And 7 or 8 years went by, and we ended up getting married.
Dang, dude. It's like one of those trips that you would take.
Yeah.
Dang, dude. We won't get into those details, brother. That's funny, dude. So you were living in Phoenix when you guys were like finalizing the lease, the marriage lease?
No. I was in Phoenix for about 3 or 4 years. From there, when I saw that it didn't work out, and I was really hungry for that opportunity. I wanted to do something with myself. I wanted to get ahead in life. The opportunity to go to Tennessee came up, so I flew out there, and I flew out there with this guy that owed me money. So he said, "You know what? I'll open this shop up. You'll be the operator, and we'll call it even with what the debt that I have with you." I said, well, I mean, what other way am I going to collect my money? And what other way can I try to do something of it? So when he said that, I didn't think twice. So
Awesome, dude. So, but it was when you get to Tennessee that's when you finally get married, and then you bring your wife.
So I get to Tennessee, and I'm out there for a little over a year. That's when I get married.
I see, dude.
When I'm in 2004, I get married, and then I bring my wife over.
Dude, so you land in Tennessee, man. Tell us about that, man. Tell us about a little bit of the beginning, and then like when it kind of takes off. So you get there, you're operating a restaurant.
So I get there, and I'm operating this restaurant that was turned over to me in order to collect, the money that was owed to me. So I get there, the restaurant starts doing good, and then the owner of the restaurant, we had agreed on certain terms, just a gentleman's agreement. So we open it up, starts doing good, comes back to Phoenix, and then he goes back to Tennessee about a month later. He shows up and he's like, "Oh, you're doing well. You know what? In order for you to do good, and the business is doing well, then why don't we bump up, the monthly amount that you give to me so that we can all better ourselves?" And I'm like, okay, sounds fair. So he increased it. He increased the monthly rent amount. So he comes back home, and he goes back to Tennessee maybe 2 months or close to 3 months later, and he sees the restaurant still doing better, and it was doing good and a little bit better. So he's like, man, you're doing good. I think we should all benefit from this. And why don't you start giving me so much? I was like, boy. So I thought to myself, I mean, I'm never gonna make it here. Every
Yeah.
time he comes back, as much as effort and work that I put in, I'm just building it for him, building it for him.
Right.
I'm never gonna make it. There's no agreement that's being respected. So when he told me that the second time, I thought to myself inside, I'm never gonna make it. So I agreed. So I told him, okay, that's fine. But then and there was when I decided, you know what, I have to look for something else. I have to look for something on my own. So I started looking, and one of my other brothers found another spot close to Tennessee, in Columbia, Tennessee. So he was on his way back from Sam's Club, stops at a gas station, and he sees it, and he's like, hey, I saw this spot. Why don't, he had the money at that time. He said, why don't I fund it, and then you do the work, and we'll go halfers. I said, yeah, let's do it. So the moment he signed the lease on it, I told this other guy, I said, you know what? In 6 months, here's your restaurant. I can't keep doing this. So yeah, we gave him his restaurant back, and then we started at the new one. So so my brother and I started. We went from there. I think we worked maybe 6 months or so, and then I moved back to Otay because I had already got married, but she was in the process of getting her green card and coming over here. So I was crossing back and forth on a daily basis, but I was working in San Diego, living in Otay.
Dang.
Yeah.
So that restaurant, you guys opened it, you guys were operating it. Did you leave it? Or
So my brother kept that one.
your brother kept that one? Dang. And then that you moved back to Otay,
Yes.
dude.
So I moved back to Otay, and I was there for about a year. Then she got her green card. Everything was good. So then we moved back to Tennessee.
Dang.
And then that's when I opened the first Oscars in Franklin, Tennessee.
That was like your own.
Yes, that was my own. I started with one of my other brothers, but right away he said, you know what, I'll sell you my share, and I'll move on. And I said, okay, cool, I'll keep it. So at that point, it was Taco Express. But then after I purchased his share and I bought him out, I changed it to Oscars. But I changed it to Oscars because I wanted to give it, a different touch. So I would ask the customers that would come in, local customers, you know what, I want to change the name, but I don't know. I don't have an idea of what name, to name it. So from more than one customer, I got feedback, and a lot of them said, well, why don't you name it Oscars? We don't refer to Taco Express when we come here. We always refer to, let's go see Oscar. Let's go to Oscars. So I got that a lot from different customers. So that's how I decided to name it Oscars.
That's funny, dude. What year was that?
That was in 2007.
Yeah, 2007. You know what's crazy? Back in those days, I mean, from the early days, from obviously from a long time ago, businesses would refer themselves as like a corporate name and stuff like that. But from a time not too far back, forward, now like the personal branding started to become like pretty big. So all that to say that I find it interesting that people even back then like were already like saying, hey, just name it Oscars. And that's pretty cool and interesting because I think people buy from Oscar. They don't necessarily buy from the taco shop. They buy from Oscar because they like Oscar. They, maybe they feel a connection or something like that,
Well, that was one thing that my dad always told me as well. He said, whenever you have, I guess he saw it. I mean, whenever you have your own restaurant, make sure that you treat customers well. Always, you have to have the customer satisfied, and you have to make them feel like they're at home. So that was one of the things that stuck with me. But, I'm also a talker, so I think 2 and 2 came together, and, it came about.
Dude, so you start your first restaurant, dude. Pretty cool story about that first one that you shared with me that I would like to share with the audience, dude. You mentioned that Toby Mac would go eat at your restaurant.
Toby Mac and several other
music artists.
And
that's crazy.
Yeah, Frank Ortega. Have you heard of Frank Ortega?
Dude, the name's super familiar.
Yeah, he does country music as well.
No way.
And he has these big old what is it? I think it's Dos Equis that he has contracts with.
Get out, dude.
Yeah. At one point, he was living here in Verado.
Really?
Yeah.
You know,
He used to live in Franklin and then moved here. And I'm not sure if he's back and forth or now back in Tennessee.
wow, that's interesting, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you had a couple artists come in through the restaurant and stuff, dude. That's funny, dude.
Oh,
That's so cool.
quite a few. There was a music studio across the street. So the owner of that, or the producer, he would come in and have lunch. So whenever he had guests or they were recording, he would bring them over and have them try the food. So whenever they came back to record, then they had to come to the staple. So they'd stop by.
Dang,
It
so
made-
cool, dude.
Yeah, I made it a staple for them.
Dude, so you start the first one, from previous conversations that we've had, it wasn't like a smooth start, man. You had to work for it, man.
Oh yeah, we worked for it. It was my wife and I. I mean, she's a trooper. I think that I'm blessed to have her. And it was just my wife and I for, I would say, a good 8 to 9 months. Just her and I was running the kitchen. She was running the front of the house. I think within the first year, we tried to sell the restaurant 2 or 3 times because it wasn't producing.
Get out, dude.
Yeah, but
would it not sell, or would you
there was sales, but not enough.
No, but I mean, like, you know how you said you tried to sell the restaurant? Would it not sell, or would you just like change your mind?
I had people come in, they were interested, but just an example, if I was selling it for $70,000, they'd come in and lowball me. So I would get upset and I say, you know what? I'm not selling it. If I'm gonna give it away, I might as well just stick to it and see what happens,
Right.
So it happened 2 or 3 times, and after the third time, my wife says, you know what? Let's hang on. Just let's give it a full year and see what happens. So I mean, we had no other option. That's all we had. I mean, we were in so much debt that we were just clearing the debt, and we really didn't have food at home. We'd show up to the shop early before we opened. We'd have breakfast, and then we'd have lunch. Everything at the shop, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. But yeah, it was hard. It was some hard times,
dude.
But after that, after like the 7th or 8th month, I had a customer that was, a really good customer, and a good friend. And one day she said, "Why don't you guys, give yourself some rest?" Because we would open 7 days a week, and we had to pay off the debt, so we couldn't afford to close any days out of the week. Anything that came in was good. So she mentioned, why don't you guys give yourself 1 day off? You guys look like you're exhausted. My wife was pregnant. She worked till the day that she went into labor.
Dang.
So she said, you guys should give yourself 1 day a week to rest. And I told her, I said, we can't afford to. We have so much debt. We can't afford to close and lose on that and back up all of our debt. So she said, why don't you just have faith and try it once to see what happens? So we took her word and we tried it once. We tried it that following Sunday. We let our customers know we're gonna start closing on Sunday because we want to have 1 day of rest and go to church and just get some rest. So I don't know if it was her that was involved or her and the man upstairs, but we started closing that first Sunday, and the next week, that Monday through Saturday, without Sunday, we had more sales than we had ever had in 7 days of business. So I don't know. I think it was a sign.
Yeah.
And so we ended up closing Sundays. Sundays, and it was a blessing. It was great. My wife ended up giving birth to our firstborn, and she didn't help as much. We were able to hire more help. We were busier, so it was good. Can't complain.
Dude, what a story, man! What a story of hard work, dedication, determination, dude, and grit. Because you didn't quit.
No,
you didn't quit.
That's one thing my dad always told me. He always said, whatever it is that you do, don't give up. Even if you see that you've lost, don't give up. Keep going. Just keep it going. If you lose, you lost. But you got to keep going. You can't just turn around and what do I do now? You know, something good is going to come out of it always.
Man, you're speaking life into my life right now, dude. Right on, dude. So you start the first one, you begin then to have success with the first one, dude. You don't have to give details, but just in general, dude, boom. How do they start popping off after that, dude?
Oh, after we started closing that Sunday, I don't know what happened, but the Lord is good. After that Sunday, it started getting busier, and before we knew it, it was a small spot. I would say like the Rosie spot here in Verado, maybe a little bit smaller, the dining area, but no joke, I'd have customers come in on the weekends, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Well, not Sunday, Friday and Saturday. They'd come in and they would bring their own lawn chairs because there'd be no more space to sit inside, and they would be outside. We'd set up some chairs, but some tables. They would bring their own chairs and they'd set up. It was to the point where inside people were standing up and eating. They didn't care. I mean, they just wanted to have a bite, and it was good. It was really good, and it has been a blessing. But after that, after it started getting so good, we came across the end of 2007, the beginning of 2008. We came across that depression we went through.
Right.
So thankfully, business got even better for us. And there was lots of restaurants that were folding, unfortunately. And we had landlords that started approaching me. They had centers that had lots of vacancy. So they saw the amount of traffic that I was bringing in that small spot. So they were offering me locations to come to their spot and open up an Oscar's. So the first one came available. The second one, I'm sorry. The second one came available, which was in West Haven and Franklin. And then we had a third one that was the same opportunity in Cool Springs, also in Franklin. And there was just opportunity coming left and right. So at that point, not all of us were out there. So my family started moving that way. So when they started moving to Tennessee, that's when we all started growing.
Dang, dude. So at first, you start your own, you start growing on your own, and then as you mentioned, your family starts coming. So at that point, you start partnering with them, or
yes, we started partnering together, and we started partnering, and then a year or 2 years into it, with the majority, if I had partnership, I'd sell off to them, so they would keep the restaurant to themselves. And
I see.
And I had a goal in mind, so after I sold off to them, then I kept going with my goals, and I kept opening more Oscars.
Right on. So the ones that you would open up with your family, would those be Oscars too, or no?
Yes.
Right on, dude. So how many restaurants did you open, would you say, in the first 6 to 7 years, man?
Boy, 6 to 7 years. I think it was about 8.
No way, dude.
Yes, about 8 restaurants.
So average one about a year.
Yes, about one a year.
One a year, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, man. Dude, so when at what point in your business, or when do you get to the point in your business where you start crossing state lines, man?
I didn't start crossing state lines until 2019. 2019 was when I first I moved back to Arizona, and I opened the first one in Surprise.
No way, dude.
So we opened Surprise, and then we opened Scottsdale, and then
is there one actively
Glendale.
right now in Scottsdale?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. In Scottsdale, there's actually 2, one of my brothers and then one of mine. But yeah, I moved back, and I opened Surprise. I opened Glendale, Scottsdale, and then we opened Verado, and then we opened McQueen, which is in Gilbert, and then Dysart in Avondale.
Get out, dude.
Yeah, so and it all happened during COVID.
You came, you saw, and you conquered, dude.
Yeah. I don't know. I have that vision, and I have that hustle in me that, I like it. It keeps me going. It energizes me, and I don't want to stop. and there are opportunities there, and the manpower was there, and I had so much help that wanted an opportunity, so I started getting into owner operator.
Yeah.
So people wanted the opportunity, and I wanted to keep growing, so it all came together.
Right.
Yeah.
So before we get into some other questions, man, how many restaurants have you opened in the totality of your career up until this point, man?
I think it's 26
26 restaurants, dude.
or 27.
Wow.
Yeah, 27.
Including the new one?
Not the new.
So
Yes,
that would be-
including the new one. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow, dude, almost
Yes.
30. That's crazy, dude. That's
Yeah.
crazy.
It's been a journey,
Yeah, I tell you what, dude.
but I learned something different and something new and good on each one. No one of them is identical.
Dude, so obviously, I think we met you guys around that time, right? Like 2021.
I think it was
2021.
2021. I think I had met you first when you had the WIFFY's original cart.
Right. The WIFFY's
Yes,
hot dogs and
yes.
more. Dude, it's
Um,
funny you mentioned that because I've never mentioned that on the pod, dude.
Yeah.
But for those watching, guys, I used to own a food truck called WIFFY's Hot Dogs and More.
Delicious dogs.
Thank you, man. We used to sell custom hot dogs, man.
Yes.
Custom hot dogs.
So that's when I met you, when you first started, and we would buy the dogs, and when we were doing the soccer with the kids and all that.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
But when we opened Rosie's in Verado, that's when you guys started coming in. That's when we started having more conversation, and we met. further
Yeah.
in.
You know what? I remember the first time my wife introduced us, because she would go to Rosie's a lot. And,
Yes.
and then she's like, hey, I think she saw you, so she recognized you. And then she's like, hey, this is my husband. She made the introduction.
Yes.
And even then, you were like pretty curious. You're like, oh, you're the WIFFY's hot dog guy?
Yeah.
I was like, yeah. And then that was like the first connection, I was like, oh, pretty cool, And at first, I thought you were my neighbor because at that time, your brother was my
Yeah,
neighbor.
my brother.
But my wife's like, no, that's a different guy, dude. But long story short, we meet, and then I guess after that interaction, the first real connection came when you called me one time because you had an employer. You were going to hire a person who had worked with me, and they put me down as a reference.
Yes, that's right. Yes.
That's funny, dude.
Yes.
I was talking to my wife about that, dude. I was
Yeah, I remember that, and you gave me the info and everything, and from there the rest was history.
The rest literally was history, dude. And I felt like it just kind of took off, dude.
Yeah.
But that's how we met, dude. Cool, man. I want to go back a little bit into the business stuff, man, because I feel that's such a big part of your story too, man. But not necessarily like the details of your business, but more on the side of how have you navigated through all that, right? And some of the lessons learned, and kind of your outlook now, and how you see business, and where do you see things going, man. But one of the things that I know of you is that you're definitely, dude, a risk taker.
Oh yeah.
And I've noticed, and I've observed that you balance well. I was looking for another word there, but you balance a lot of things well, and a lot of things that are happening at the same time,
Yeah.
And so I know what I was going to say. You balance risk well, but you take a lot of risk, So I guess if you can, just share with the audience a little bit of insight into that, were you always a risk taker? Did your threshold for risk increase as you saw success, or you just kind of earned your chops in business, or was it always the case and that's just the way you operate?
No, I've always been a risk taker. I've always had that hunger in me. So I don't know if it was that need and that want to succeed and have my own shop and just conquer everything I set my mind to. But when I was younger, I think my dad saw that in me too, and he would always tell me, just make sure whatever you do, you do it right, and you're not doing anything that's bad. And because I don't know what he saw in me that he maybe thought that I'd be getting into something that was bad or the wrong situation. But I was always hungry. Not hungry for money. I had that hunger to develop something or to open a shop and see it take off and then see the outcome.
Mm.
That's what drives me more than anything. You know, you picture something and you plan it and you put it together in your brain, and then you want to see it in real life, and you want to see when it's all come together and you accomplished it. So that's the biggest thing for me. I did it with the first shop, and when I was about 80% there, reaching my goal, that's where I started worrying, because, and not in a bad worry, but I was like, what am I going to do now?
Mm.
So when I was at about 80%, boom, it clicked. I was like, you know what? I'm going to start opening more, and I'm going to start getting to the point where eventually I can, franchise these, or even get an operator and bring in operators, basically like franchising or renting them out. And I can grow it bigger. So that was my goal. After I opened the first one, that was my goal. And before I knew it, it came quick. But going back, yes, I have been a risk taker. I enjoy the stress. If there's no stress, then I'm not functioning right.
If there's no stress, there's no rest,
Yeah,
baby.
there's got to be, for me, there's got to be stress and there's got to be risk. You got to feel that. I got to feel that adrenaline. If I don't feel it, then something's not right.
Yeah.
But yeah, my dad always said, just make sure that whatever you do, just make sure you're doing it right. And he told me that maybe 15 or 20 times, when I was younger, and he saw that I had that hunger. And one day I said, why do you always tell me, make sure that you do it right? Is there something that I'm doing wrong, or is there something that you see that I'm going to mess up when, I would like to know. And he says, no, just whatever you do, make sure you do it right.
Mm.
And I said, okay, so how do I know? How do I know it's going to be right? And he said, okay, if you want to do, let's say, whatever it is you think you want to do, but you start to do it and you have, a split second that you're doubting yourself, or you're thinking, should I do it? There's some wrong involved, or there's some big risk that maybe you shouldn't get into.
Mm.
If you have that small doubt, there's some wrong involved.
Interesting.
So just, throughout your life, remember, if you're going to do it and there's a little bit of risk, then don't do it, because there's something wrong. If you're going to do something and your heart is full of joy and you're so happy about it and you're just go, it's all good. It's very easy to tell right and wrong. So if you stick with that, you're going to do good,
Dude, it's funny you mentioned that, dude, because without giving details, man, there's I'm entering into a season of life where I'm gonna take some risk, man, but I'm happy about it, dude. And that worried me. I was literally, no joke, I was sitting with my wife here the other day, and I was telling her that exact same thing, dude. I was like, you know what, babe? I don't feel scared, but that's worrying me. Like, should I be scared?
Mm-hmm.
Like I it's a big risk, I said, but I feel good about it, and so that's funny you say that, dude, because I'm personally experiencing that right now, dude. But dude, right on, dude, right on. Would you say that well, actually, I was gonna ask you a question, but you answered that, dude. So I like that. I like what your dad said about, like, if you're second guessing your risk, and don't take it, because it's probably not a good risk.
Yeah, and he always told me, that goes across the board. That's, use that towards guidance for yourself and, with the man upstairs. Because if you doubt yourself a little bit on whatever it is, then you know that there's some wrong involved or something bad could happen. But when it's all good and you have no doubt, keep going full
Right
force.
on, dude. And you have, dude. You have,
Yeah.
and you've accomplished a lot, dude. And you know what? Just to the audience watching, man, if you guys don't know Oscar, he is a great person, man. Great human being, first and foremost, man. from day one that I met you, dude. You had that vibe about you, dude. You know, and obviously as time has gone on, I've gotten to know you a little more, and so I can confirm that that is the case. But
Yeah.
not only that, dude, but one of the things that I try to be, I don't tend to be, but I try to be observant, you know, because I do believe that by seeing other people and like just being observant, we can learn, we can pick up on things, dude. One of the things uh, that I would like to talk about with you that I've seen in you and in your life, dude, is no matter the level of success that you've had, you know, nobody really knows, right? Because you're not like flaunting it or showing it. And then you're also very, uh, and correct me if I'm wrong, dude, but when it comes to like the personal aspect of like, you know, you definitely take care of your family 1000%. But at least from a personal perspective, I feel like you're very, like frugal, man. You know, like from the day I met you, like you don't like reward yourself with like flashy things and stuff like that. Um, I know recently that maybe has changed a little bit, but we'll get to that. But in the years that I've known you, in the few years that I've known you, like, you know, we got to vacation together and stuff like that, you know. And even though I'm nowhere near your level, dude, I felt like one time we stayed in this big hotel. We got it cheap, and that's why we stayed in it. But you just got a normal room, dude. You know, and you could
Yeah.
have totally rented half of that freaking hotel if you wanted to. You know what I'm saying? Like, but all that to say that I think that speaks into um, your mindset as a true bona fide entrepreneur because you know the risk, you know the hard work that it takes to get there. But what are some of your insights that you can share with the audience, dude, when it comes to that? And the reason why I'm asking that is because we live in a society, man, where everything's flashy. Everything's flashy. And there's one thing that I've learned, you know, in the course of my recent adult years, dude, and that's that a lot of the people that I've met who are truly successful, who are wealthy, you wouldn't even know, dude. You know, you wouldn't
Yes.
even know. And so, what's something that you can share with the audience about that, dude?
Well, number one, I think the biggest thing is, I think we have to understand that we're here because of one.
Mm,
If it's not for him, we wouldn't be here.
mm,
We have to be humble. Humble. If you're not humble, you're nothing.
mm,
It doesn't matter, how much you do have, how much you don't have. Humble has to be a big part of you. And you can't let any type of material things take over who you are. If you let, monetary things or material things uh, change you, then you're taking the wrong steps
mm,
because you have to have your feet on earth. And for me, I think it's more than anything, it's the drive of just doing what I like to do. You know, for maybe 20 years or so, I dedicated my life, to my family. I got married and I dedicated my life to my family. I wanted to make sure that whatever I could help my parents in, I'd help them. And my kids, my wife were a priority for me. And of course you have to teach them and make them understand that we have what we have, we are who we are because of the good Lord. And some people just don't understand that. They take it for granted.
mm,
And they take it for granted because they wake up every day and thankfully they're not sick, they're not feeling bad, they're not missing, any meals. But people don't understand that, you know, we're here because of him and he's given us the opportunity. Just waking up every day is a blessing. We basically die every night.
mm,
It's up to the Lord to wake us up.
mm,
He's the
mm.
one that gives us the opportunity to live another day.
Interesting, dude.
If so, you know. But
Interesting outlook, dude, for sure.
no, a lot of people don't see it that way because they take it for granted.
Yeah.
And we shouldn't. We shouldn't. We should appreciate every day that he gives us, every minute, cherish it and, live it with our close ones, family, friends, and just be a good person because you don't know the day of tomorrow, what's going to happen. You could be up here today and tomorrow you'll be down here. So anything material, I think it makes no one. Some people you can see that will act differently, that will change, and they'll start stepping all over whoever they can. But I don't know. When I see people like that, it's just, I don't give them the time of day. I try, if they decide to cross a word with me, I'll try to knock some sense in them. But I mean, everybody's just different.
Yeah, dude. Right on, dude. Right on. And so one of the things I say on the pod is I'll sometimes give people their flowers. It's just an expression for like give you credit,
Oh, yeah.
But I've definitely seen that in your life, dude. And there's definitely humility being represented through you, dude. And love, compassion, bro. And there's a word in Spanish that I don't know the translation for in English, man. But the word is sencillez,
Yes.
And do you know the translation for that, dude?
No.
Dude, that's funny. That's funny.
Yeah. So it's just, being humble.
Yeah, just basically being humble. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, just being humble. I mean, that's really what it translates to.
Yeah, I guess, right? But yeah, man, cool deal, man.
But yeah, for me, I think the biggest task for me, it has been with my kids. I have no problem, being who I am. I always tell the Lord, if you're gonna give me whatever it is you're gonna give me, and it's gonna make me change, it's gonna make me a different person, or it's gonna make me treat others bad or a different way, don't give it to me. Leave me the way I am with good health. That's all I ask. The rest I'll hunt. I'll look for it. I'll worry about it. But just give me that health, and I'll worry about the rest. I've always just treated others the way that I expect to be treated. It hasn't always been that way, but you can't do much about it.
Yeah, we're not perfect, man.
Exactly. But trying to raise my kids that way, what my parents taught me, I think has been the biggest challenge. And I think I've conquered it, but it's hard with the society that we live in. Sometimes not everybody is trying to raise their kids the same way, or with the humbleness that they need. So that's my biggest task, and I think I've conquered it.
Right on, dude. Bro, so going back to another question on the business side of things, dude. So it's quite the feat to have opened up 27 restaurants, dude. I don't even think some small chains have that many restaurants. Dude,
I don't even want to say how old I am now.
27. Spring chicken, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. So what perspective, man, can you share with the audience? Like, what's one of the biggest lessons that you've learned throughout all these years? Like, if you can sum it up into like one big lesson, like when it comes to your experience in not just opening one, but 27 restaurants, dude, and across state lines, and not only just doing Mexican food, you've dabbled now into like hamburgers and stuff like that, dude. Yeah, what's one of your greatest takeaways, man?
I would say, if I'm gonna give somebody some advice, I would tell them, you know what? If you have an idea, if you have a dream, go for it. No matter what it is, look for the way to do what you want to do, because that's one other thing that my dad always told me. Make sure that whatever it is you do, you enjoy it. Don't do the restaurant because I do it. Do it because you enjoy it. If you don't enjoy it, do something that, look for something that you will enjoy. So I would say whatever it is that you like, that interests you, give it all you got and prove it to yourself, to nobody else. Prove it to yourself that you can do it and you will do it. Because there's no bigger satisfaction than, conquering and accomplishing your mindset, your goals, and everything that you set yourself to do. I would say, don't hold back.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. You know what? When you were talking earlier about the thing your dad said, where he was like, just do it, don't quit. Like, dude, you have no idea how that impacted my life right now, dude.
Oh, yeah?
Because I always joke around and I always say I'm a jack of all trades, master of none, dude. And how that could be a good thing, but that could also be a bad thing. And what I mean by that is, in life, up until this point in my life, I've had several things that I wanted to accomplish. Out of those several things, there's been maybe one, maybe two that I really wanted to do, but because of whatever other reason, life pressures of life, or like, things I thought other people thought, or whatever the case may be,
Mm-hmm.
or maybe it just got to the point where I didn't want to do it anymore,
Mm-hmm.
or like hard or whatever, and then I had to take care of all these other things. I find myself pivoting, or I have found myself pivoting, and for the one thing that I know that I would have liked to have accomplished, I know that I didn't, not because I didn't have the talent, not because I didn't have the ability, but because somewhere along the line, I quit, I quit on myself. I quit on the grind, and for stupid reasons, I couldn't tell you the reason because it's not like a specific reason,
Yeah.
but you start blaming things, and to my point being is that impacted me, dude, because I'm like, dude, it takes grit, man. You just
Mm-hmm.
gotta like stake it and don't let go, no matter how fast the water comes in. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so, obviously, as I've grown, I've learned that is the case, and um, that's the only way, that's the only route to success. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Honing in.
Well, I don't know. Maybe sometimes it's not that you quit. Sometimes it could be that it's a sign from the man upstairs that you have to stop and you have to look for something different.
Mm.
Sometimes you just keep at it, you don't quit, and it doesn't work out. Sometimes you keep at it and it works out. It's different.
Yeah, I guess you're right, dude. I mean,
You can't blame yourself. You can't find an excuse for it. If it didn't work out, it didn't work out. For whatever reason it was, pack it up, toss it out,
yeah,
and let's move on.
yeah. Sorry, excuse me. Yeah, you know what, dude? To your point there, dude, I think that's very interesting for you to say that, because one of the things that I know that I'm good at is pivoting, dude. And no matter the adversity, it doesn't phase me. Like I'll move on to the next thing. If I see that it's not working, I'll
Yeah, move on.
move on.
Yeah.
So that has been part of my life. But sometimes I just go like, man, I just need to like not pivot, man. Just like boom, stick in, But
Yeah.
but I hear what you're saying, and I think that is like a character, like that's a good characteristic for entrepreneurs to have. I'm sure you have that characteristic too, where you see things, if it ain't going, man, you pivot,
Yeah. You have to turn a different way.
Yeah,
and
you have to turn a
move.
different way and move.
But I think one of the biggest things for me, ever since we were growing up, we always went to church. Our parents always showed us the right, the wrong, and don't do this, do that. And so I've always been a big believer. And there's a few times in my lifetime where I have felt that feeling where he has been like very close.
Interesting, dude.
Very close. And it's weird because he's been so close, but not to help me. To use me to help others.
No way, dude.
Yes. So I see that and I've lived it, and that's where I guess I feel more confident. I feel like, okay, I'm that risk taker. I'm that go-getter. I have that drive. I love it. And I feel so confident that he believes in me. I believe in him. And whenever it is that I want to do whatever it is, I always put it in his hands. And, I work hard on it. Sometimes I work too hard on it, and it ends up going out the back door. So I always leave it up to him, and I always ask him to put it, in my path if he thinks it's something that's good for me. If not, toss it out. It doesn't matter how bad I want it. get it out of my way.
Mm.
So I think I'm a strong believer that, you know, he knows, okay, this guy's got it. You know, he's got that will, he's got that energy. I don't need to help him. You know, I need him to help others.
Mm. Mm.
So, and I've proved it, I've felt it, and I've been so close, and you know, it's such a good feeling. People that haven't felt that before, it's hard to explain.
Dude, have you felt that feeling recently?
Very recent.
bro. I want to get into that a little bit. Not that, but what you were saying, dude. You know what's funny, dude? That is God, bro. And then that's how you can tell, you know, that it is God. One of the things that I was talking to my wife recently on a completely different topic, not business, just life. And with the whole faith and stuff like that, dude. You know, sometimes we talk about like, oh, God gave me this gift. And so people are like, oh, it's my gift and I use it this way or whatever. But like, we were listening to a guy like preaching, I think on Instagram or something like that. He was like, yeah, man, you know what that gift God gave you? It ain't for you, dog. It's for you to bless others, you know? And so it like, whoa, it totally impacted us because it's true, you know? Nothing that God gives us is, I mean, yes, there's a portion of that that's for our enjoyment and our well-being, of course, you know?
Yes.
But like the bigger picture is like the gifts that he's giving you, the talents that he's giving you, like how are you using that to bless others, you know?
Exactly.
And so the fact that you said that, we haven't had this conversation before, and I didn't even know that was your perspective, you know? Just blesses my life, dude, because that is true, you know?
It's true.
That is true. And you found that out on your own, you know? Like we didn't talk about this. It wasn't pre-planned. It wasn't like a pre-question or whatever. You just kind of brought it up because that's been your life experience, you know?
Has.
And I would say that I agree 1000%, dude, you know? Yeah, that's a beautiful thing, man.
Yeah.
Very beautiful thing, man.
God is good.
He is, dude. He is. He is. And no joke, man. You know, obviously we haven't really talked about faith and stuff like that, but as I heard you talk throughout the podcast, dude, I was just self-examining my life, dude. And I'm like,
No,
You're causing me to go,
No, I'm a strong believer. I am one of those very strong believers. And the time you invited us for your son's baptism,
dude.
yeah, that's you know something that you know we don't forget. One of my sons, when that day after church, he asked me. He said, "So how do I know that you know the church that you guys go to is the right church?" And I said, "I don't know that. You know, I don't know who does. You know, we're all trying to lead up to the man upstairs, but what I can tell you is no matter what church it is that, you know, now you come to this church because we go to this church. This is the one that I believe is the right church. This is the one that I believe is good for you. But the day of tomorrow, when you make your own decisions, if you think there's another church out there that is best for you, just make sure that, you know, their beliefs are the right beliefs, because no matter what church it is, at the end of the day, that church, my church, his church, that church, if they're all within the right belief, we're all going to meet in the middle. You know, we're all going to meet in the middle just by doing the right thing. It doesn't matter what church it is. You just have to believe in doing the right thing, and we're going to see each other in the middle. Whether it's Christian, Baptist, whatever it is, Catholic, we're all going to meet in the middle. We just have to get there somehow, some way, you know? So that's what I told him after that day that you invited us to your church.
Yeah, interesting, dude. Interesting. I didn't even know he asked you that question, dude.
Yes.
Jesus said it best, dude. He's like, they will know you by your love, dude, you know?
That's right.
And the two greatest commandments, man, love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, and mind. And the second one is like it. Love your neighbor as yourself, dude, you know? And honestly, dude, I'm not going to get into it, but sometimes we forget that, you know, like, especially religious people, you know, you can get so bogged down in the religious part of it and forget the gospel, you know. And then you find some people that knock it, they're doing it even more greater in a greater way, you know. But right on, dude, right on. So tell us about where you are today, man. So 27 restaurants, still going strong. You're about to open another one, dude.
Yes.
A new Oscars in the corner of Jackrabbit and Indian School, man.
Yeah.
Right there in front of Fry's, guys. Drive through. You don't even have to get out, baby.
Yeah.
How far away are you from opening that, dude?
I think we're about 10 days or so. We should be in there and grinding and hustling and, you know, teaching everybody what we can and just enjoying it.
Right on, dude. Right on. Dude, so I made a comment earlier, and I was like, dude, I know you for being a man who's like humble. You're not a flashy guy and stuff like that. But I've noticed that in recent days, you've kind of like, you know, after all these years of hard work, you're like, you know what? I'm gonna treat myself, man. And you've treated yourself, dude. How do you feel about that? Like, is that a new thing for you? How are you going about that, dude?
It's been about 20 years that I dedicated my life to my family, my kids, my work, and, you know, it's just my mindset. And so it's been a long journey with very little play.
Right.
So, I mean, like I said, I've had goals, and, you know, this was one of them from years back, many years back, but I didn't want to get to that point until I felt that I had accomplished everything else that I needed to accomplish. So when that day came, I was like, you know what? I think it's time.
Today's the day.
Today's the day.
And dude, I won't give details, bro, but we had a meeting and we walked out of the coffee shop, and I'm walking to my truck and I see you walking next to me, and I'm like, where's this guy going? Because I don't see another car behind my truck. And we're walking, you're like, oh, dude, I didn't tell you. He's like, come over here. And he started walking to the other side of my truck, and I'm thinking, like, there's no car over there, dude. What are you talking about? Dude? Like, I can't see a car, you know? I pull up and I'm like, whoa, baby. What? We won't give the deeds because we don't want you guys to know. But
yeah, I decided to treat myself, and, you know, it was I could say it was my last dream that was so far away. So once again, you know, the man upstairs gave me the opportunity, and I was about to, you know, go for another business opportunity when my wife said one day, you know what? Why don't you get it for yourself now? You know, you can always wait on another business opportunity. You're going to have that the rest of your life. Do this now. So when she said that, I was like, you know what? She's right. It's about time I order me a sundae with a cherry on top.
Dude, and a Sunday it is, dude, because it only comes out on Sundays. Dude,
so I was blessed, and I enjoy it. It's, you know, it's a nice car, and I'm just happy. I'm happy that, you know, God has given me the opportunity, and He gives me the opportunity to have good health and keep on hustling, and, you know, keep on showing my kids and the right way, the right thing, and just, you know, blessing me with these ideas in my brain, and blessing me with new people that I've known in the past, you know, few years. So I take it. I think I take advantage of all that now, and I really enjoy it more than I used to. So now anybody new that comes into my inner circle it's because, you know, I think it's a good person. It's very, very hard for me to let somebody in my inner circle, and especially open my doors to them. Just because you have a family, you never know who you're opening your doors to. You have to know that person right before you let them inside your home. Your home, I think, is like a temple. You can't just let anybody in. You know, it's very sacred, and for me at least.
No. I agree, dude. I agree, and I like that, man. I like that, and yeah, your house does look like a temple, dude. Big old house.
Another blessing.
Another blessing, dude. Right on, dude. We're gonna start winding this sucker down, dude. But before we do completely, you kind of mentioned right now something that you said. You're like, yeah, man, it was kind of like one of my last dreams that I had or whatever. I don't think that that's the case truly for you. That was your last dream. I think you're a dreamer by default, you know. And my question for you is like, what's next for you, dude? I mean, you've pretty much you came and you conquered, you know, the whole Mexican food industry / restaurant, dude. What's next for Oscar, man?
So there's two big things next. There's a big one within what I have going now with Oscars. So there's big plans for that coming along, and there's a new bigger plan that I think the Lord has put, you know, in my way, in my journey, and I think it's the right moment. So it's gonna be good. I can already feel it. I already have that good vibe that I haven't had in years. So I'm very excited, and I'm thankful that the Lord, you know, put this opportunity in front of me, and that I'm able to work together with this other person. I'm excited. I'm excited. Yeah. I think that this new idea from this other person is something that's going to be very good. You know, I'm just I could say I'm a follower. I'm going to learn here. There's a lot for me to learn.
Oscar's going to learn.
Yeah.
What? You're the sensei, man.
But I have a very good feeling for it.
Right on,
very
dude.
Good feeling for it.
So in general, you would say that what's next for you is more business, like more
business. I can't stay home. I can't do nothing. I'll rot. I got to keep busy. I got to keep at it. And I love what I do, but now it's time to perfection it. It's time to grease it up and get it right. So
interesting, dude. Yeah, I'm excited for you too, man.
Yeah, I'm very excited. For you too. And, so two big things coming up and in the near future. So I'm excited, and I think everybody here in Verrado is going to be excited because it's going to be a great new opportunity. It's going to be a good vibe. I think it's definitely what Verrado needs. This other partner of mine had the best idea. I think he hit the spot. So.
Right on, dude. Right on.
So.
Awesome, man. Well, I wish you best of luck, brother.
All right. I wish him best of luck.
yeah, dude. Right on, dude. Yeah. Do you have any final words, man? Any final thoughts you would like to share with our audience today, dude? Anything that comes to mind, anything that's in your heart, dude, just feel free to share if you have anything to say, man.
It just comes down to just, you know, do what you love, stay humble. If you have the opportunity to help whoever it is, whatever it is, whether it's monetary, whether it's just helping them cross the street, a can of food, whatever it is, don't doubt it. Just do it out of heart, and don't look back. You know, one day when you least expect it, you're going to be rewarded. So just do it. Just do it out of your heart and do the right thing always.
Awesome, man. Dude, tell our audience where they can find you guys. The website, the Instagram, the Facebook if you have it, dude. So just look at the camera and just let them know, baby.
All right. So we have Rosie's Taco Shop and Oscar's Fresh Mac. So they have been combined, and you can find Rosie's and Oscar's at oscarsfreshmax.com. And we have several locations around town. We're in Tennessee, Kentucky, Arizona, and hopefully we'll expand into more states.
Right on, brother. Right on. I just want to say thank you once again.
Thank you for having me.
Dude, pleasure. Awesome, dude. I enjoyed it. We've probably been talking for over an hour, dude, and it just feels like shorter than
that's
that.
Good.
Dude. Yeah.
When you're having fun, time flies.
Yeah, dude. Well, there you have it, folks. Another episode of the WIFFY podcast. If you watched up until this point, Thank you guys for watching, for staying tuned. And as we always say to close out the WIFFY Real podcast, hoorah, baby.
Yeah.